FM ぎのわん、玉名花親のパイロットになろう。時刻は午前11時を回りました。こんにちは。パーソナリティのスポーツパイロット教官、金城健太郎です。この番組はアメリカでチャーターパイロットとして活躍する玉名花親氏によるプロデュースのもと、飛行機が好きだ、航空業界に興味があるといった航空ファンの皆様はもちろん、航空業界で就職したい、パイロットになりたい、あるいはアメリカで就労ビザをパイロットとして取得したい、という夢を持つ方々へ有益な情報をお届けしようという番組です。放送を通じたコミュニティを広げていくことで、皆様の背中を押す一助になれば幸いです。コミュニティラジオ FM ぎのわんでは、宜野湾地域 79.7MHz での放送に加え、インターネットでのサイマル配信も行っております。リッスンラジオでは音声配信を、YouTube とツイキャスでは動画配信をご覧いただきますので、FM ぎのわんのホームページよりごアクセスください。さて、アメリカ・ネバダ州ラスベガスのエアスマート1階ロビーより1時間の生放送でお送りします。FM ぎのわん、玉名花親のパイロットになろう。今週も航空業界に携わる素敵なゲストをお迎えしており、ここでしか聞けない空のお話を楽しく聞き出そうと思います。本日のゲストは、アメリカで LCC の客室乗務員、そしてチャーターのパイロットとして二刀流で活躍されていらっしゃるアラ・ヘイルさんに、エアスマートにお越しいただいております。なぜ客室乗務員を続けながら二刀流を目指したのか、子供を育てる母親でもありながら多忙な毎日は両立できるのか、今の仕事ぶりから大空への愛までアラさんにたっぷり伺っていこうと思います。また番組では皆様からのメッセージも募集しております。原さんへのご質問やご感想など番組の中でご紹介いたしますので、FM ぎのわんへのメール 797@fmginowan.com またはツイキャスのコメント欄にてぜひお送りください。たくさんのご参加をお待ちしております。それでは2023年10月12日木曜日、FM ぎのわん玉名花親のパイロットになろう。ぜひ最後までお付き合いください。この番組はエアスマートエビエーションアカデミー、見える本質、見え本チャンネル以上3社の提供でお送りします。お知らせの後はアラさんのご登場です。2-minute interval here right now, and then after that, we'll start talking.
No, okay.
Yeah. Are you kind of nervous or?
A little
really?
bit.
A little bit.
I've never done a radio show. I've watched other people do radio shows, but
one cool thing about this is that it's on actual, public radio station, and because Thomas doing this for a long time, and then I think it's really cool to let people in Japan listen to our voices from here in States, and then it's really cool.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
What time of day is it in Japan
right now? It's 11 a.m. right now.
Oh, okay. So it's middle of the day.
Yes.
Nice.
And then maybe we'll start off with you introducing yourself.
Oh, okay.
Start very first. And then we'll go further on your stories. And just remember, people on YouTube and Facebook are still listening to you.
Oh.
We're fine.
Okay.
We haven't talked anything secret, but 30 seconds to go. Yeah, she's there. It's funny because I had to speak up last week when he did it in Thomas Hanker, but I'm so calm this week because it's so quiet in here. 10 seconds. FM ぎのわんより生放送、玉名花親のパイロットになろう番組パーソナリティの金城健太郎です。 本日はアメリカの LCC で客室乗務員、そして、チャーターパイロットとしても二刀流で活躍するアラヘイルさんにお越しいただきました。本日はお越しいただきましてありがとうございます。Thank you for coming to the show today. Can you briefly introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Era Hale, and I am both a pilot and a flight attendant. And gosh, what else can I say? I'm 53 years old.
Wow.
So kind of this is sort of my third or fourth career.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know, how far back do you want me to go? I mean, I'm 53. I've been working since I was 14. So
Since you're 14?
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about later for
Okay.
what you've done for these, so many years. But そうですね、アラヘルさんでございます。なんと、53歳ということで、私もちょっと年齢は今初めて伺ったんですけれども、客室乗務員、そしてパイロット、を、同時にやっているという、なんと、すごい方でございます。そして、もちろんパイロット、客室乗務員を持って先に、やられて、そこからパイロットになったんですけれども、数えると3つ目、4つ目ぐらいの、職種ということで、結構いろいろご経験がおありということは私も伺っているので、これから、どんどん深掘りしていきたいと思います。Alright, so first of all, aviation related, you were a flight attendant. You became a flight attendant first. And then when you became a flight attendant, you were was there like second or third job at that point?
Yeah. So, I worked my way through college as a legal secretary.
Okay.
And then after college, I worked in the publishing industry. My last job in the publishing industry, I was copy editing scientific books and journals in the Life and Biomedical Sciences division of Academic Press. So kind of an academic job. And then I decided that industry doesn't pay very well. And my kid's dad made plenty of money. And so I decided to raise my kids full time.
Okay,
So
I see.
I did that for 15 years. And then after I got divorced, I needed to go back to work. But the publishing industry had changed quite a bit. And my company had moved back east from where they were originally in San Diego.
Oh.
So I decided I would do something completely different, and I grew up in an airline family.
Oh, wow.
So my dad is a retired pilot, and my stepmother is a retired flight attendant.
Oh.
So and my mom used to love using her flight benefits.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I've been flying since longer than I can remember.
Wow.
So.
ということで、アラさん、大学入られて、そこで秘書として、学んで、卒業してからはですね、出版業界にいらっしゃったということですね。で、中でも、出版の中でも、科学系の、生物科学とおっしゃってましたかね、の最終的なそちらの本の、出版、編集等にも関わっていたので、出版業界にいながらも少しアカデミックな分野にも関わりがあったというふうにおっしゃってました。ただ本人がですね、今おっしゃってたのもちょっとこれも後で詳しく聞こうとは思うんですけれど、その出版業界の中での、給料はそんなに、芳しくないと。その中で、お子さんは、その時の旦那さんとお子さんが、稼いではいたんですけれども、離婚した後、また仕事を見つけないといけない。じゃあ何か全く新しいことをしよう。ということで、まずは、その出版業界に飛び出すという決意をした後、同時かちょっとタイミングはあれなんですけれど、なんと、アラさん自身のですね、ご家族が、もう航空一家だということで、You say your father was a retired?
He's a retired captain.
Captain?
Yeah.
For airline?
Yeah.
Okay. お父様がエアラインのパイロット、元、エアラインパイロットだということで、貴重だったということで、そしてお母様がですね、and your mother was a
Well, my stepmother was a flight attendant. But yeah, my mom has a doctorate in education, and so she's a school administrator. So,
お母様もですね、なんと客室乗務員だったということで、本当に航空一家で、この家族のね、フライトベネフィットというか、この、家族割というか、そういうので旅するのがすごい好きだったということで、and you've flown the flights with your dad, actually?
Yes, I have.
Was flying? Okay.
Yeah, a couple times. But, I mean, he's retired now. He can't get in trouble. But one time he was on reserve.
Uh-huh.
I think he had just upgraded to a different airplane or something. And it was after my parents had gotten a divorce.
Okay.
And my sister and I were with him for the day. And he didn't think he'd get called on reserve.
Oh.
And he did get called.
Oh, wow.
So he took us to work with him, and we flew all around California all day.
Oh, wow. That's quite interesting.
It was pretty funny.
Experience.
And the flight attendants just kept feeding us peanuts and Cokes and
wow.
Yeah.
They knew your.
Oh yeah, they're like,
kids.
oh, Bob, these are your girls. They were so sweet. But
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty funny.
Okay. はい、ということで、お父様のフライトに乗車した際はですね、一度そのお父様と、ちょっとご両親が離婚された時に、お家でこう、子供2人でいたところ、スタンバイだったんですけど、そこから、今日飛びなさいと会社から電話かかったそうで、そこから行って、もうカリフォルニアとか全土あちこち飛び回って、ずっとそのフライトに、付き添われてたそうです。したらその便の客室乗務員の方からもピーナッツとかコーラとかいろいろいただいたそうでね、すごい可愛がってくれたという思い出もあるそうです。So, is that kind of, what you've experienced as you grew up? And then you were kind of close or familiar with the aviation, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, we always celebrated Christmas on a different day. I mean, it was...
Yeah, right.
My uncle was a fireman, my dad's brother. So he and my dad would coordinate which day they would get off for the holidays. And then my parents would tell us, they said, Santa Claus is very busy. He doesn't have time to go to everybody's house on the same day. So they said, he's coming to our house on the 23rd. So we would decide with my cousins, which, so then we'd be able to see my cousins and have Christmas celebration together, but never on the right day.
Like, did all the kids believe on that, or?
Oh yeah, we all believe in it, because my uncle told my cousins the same story. So
they're so cute.
Yeah. So until we were a certain age, we were like, okay, that makes sense.
I see. ということで、もう一つストーリーを教えていただいたんですけれど、子供の頃とかですね、いつもこうやってね、パイロットの職業、そしておじが、消防士だったそうなんですけれど、休みがこうみんなと同じ日には取れるわけじゃないじゃないですか。ということで、いつもクリスマスとかの祝いの時は、何日かずれた、日付で祝ってて、その時子供たちにはですね、でもサンタさん忙しいから同じ日にはみんな一斉に来れないのよというふうに言い聞かせてたそうで、家族全員子供たちそれをみんなちゃんと、信じてたそうです。それもまたすごい話なんですけれど、大人になってね、確かにそういう仕事上でね、そうなるんだなというふうに、もちろん分かったそうで、とても微笑ましいストーリーなんですけれど、じゃあこれからですね、じゃあ実際、子供時代からその航空という業界はすごく身近にあったというふうに伺ったんですけれども、じゃあそこから、最初の出版の仕事があってですね、さらにじゃあ実際に客室乗務員に転職しようといったそのあたりのお話から聞いていこうと思います。Right, so, and you work in the publishing industry, and then after that you decided to become a flight attendant. You're now a flight attendant at Frontier. Right?
Yeah, I still am.
You still am. So you were in Frontier from the first, or?
Yeah, I started with them in 2014.
Okay.
And so now I'm 9 years in with them. So my seniority is pretty good, which is why I'm able to keep that job while I do this one at AirSmart.
I see.
If I didn't have the seniority, it would be impossible. But because I do, I can pick and choose. And my AirSmart days off are the days that I work at Frontier.
Okay. ということで、アメリカのですね、LCC の中でも一番大きいぐらいかな、フロンティア航空というところで、客室乗務員をされているということで、2014年、9年前にですね、最初に客室乗務員になった時からずっとフロンティア航空にいるそうです。で、ちらっとセニョリティの話が出たんですけれども、少し補足をさせていただきますと、入社時にですね、休みの日とか、飛びたい路線、とか、詳細は会社によってまちまちなんですけれども、その入社順が早い方から、希望を出して、その時に希望することができるのが一般的なんですね。でその中で、もう9年前に入社したというものですから、セニョリティがかなり高い方にあるということで、この辺の話もちょっと後で聞こうと思うんですけれど、それでこう希望の日に、あるいはエアスマートでパイロットとして働いている人の調整をうまくつけることができているということだそうです。Alright, so you have like 9 years as a flight attendant, 9 years of career.
Yeah.
So you applied to Frontier, and then did you have like kind of training to become a flight attendant, and how did it go?
Yeah, it was so at the time that I was applying for jobs, my dad was actually the one who suggested it.
Really?
Because he said that Americans' latest class was mostly 50-year-old women, and I was in my 40s.
Okay.
And so I looked, but American didn't have anything listed if you weren't bilingual. And so the only two airlines that had non-bilingual job openings were Frontier and Allegiant.
Okay.
So I actually interviewed at both a week apart, but Allegiant was first. They took so long to get back to us that the following weekend I interviewed with Frontier, and they told us that same day we're hired. They went and did your drug test in the next room, you know, fingerprinting, everything got done. And so I accepted the job with Frontier because they said yes first. And then they called me from Allegiant a couple weeks later and said, congratulations. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I already accepted this other job. So, but yeah, I mean, I still have friends that I made in that interview process. They're still with Allegiant. Yeah, they love it. It's a great company.
Wow.
So, but you know, I feel like they're kind of our sister company in a way because we're both ultra low cost carriers and kind of filling a different business model than the traditional airline in the United States. So. A lot of vacation travel, so.
That's nice. Alright. ということで、そうですね、最初にこの客室乗務員をされた時の、入社の時のお話を伺ったんですけれど、フロンティア航空と、そしてもう一つ、玉縄さんが先週ですね、採用が決まりましたアリジャントエアというところ2社受けたそうですね。アメリカン航空なんかも、募集を見たんですけれど、バイリンガルじゃないといけないという要項があったそうで、なので、それ以外だと、この、アメリカの LCC2 社が募集があって、で受けたところ、アリジェントエアを最初に受けたんですけれど、そちらの返事は何週間もかかったと。しかし、フロンティア航空を受けてみたら、なんと1週間後にですね、You said 1 week after you take the interview at Frontier?
It was about 2 weeks later that they finally called. Yeah, so at least I'd say 3 weeks that I waited to hear from them.
2、3週間ですぐ返事をいただけたと、隣の部屋でね、ドラッグテストもいろんな検査とかもした後、なんと後に受けたフロンティアの方から最初にお返事をいただいて、でその後アリジェントの方からもですね、おめでとうって来たんですけれども、残念ながら、すいません、私もこちらにしたのでという感じで断ったんですけれど、ちょっと私今聞いてびっくりしたのがですね、そのアリジェントエアも受けた中でもですね、その時にこう一緒に受けた仲間でも未だにこう交流がある、関わりがあって、で、アリジャントの客室乗務員の方々とも話しているというのが、すごいこのやっぱ世界のつながりっていうんですかね、は感じました。で、ね、アリジャントもフロンティアもどちらもアメリカの LCC に変わったビジネスモデルですので、結構近しいふうには感じているとおっしゃってます。And then, so you've done training, and then you became a flight attendant.
Yeah, training was about 4 weeks long.
4 weeks?
And it was just at Frontier's facility. It wasn't anywhere outside before they got the job. So they were looking for people who were fine with you being completely new to the industry, coming from other backgrounds, because they know that, becoming flight crew sometimes is kind of a life-changing process. And they were open to people from all different professional backgrounds. So it's been... I don't know if every airline is like this. Frontier's a little bit unconventional in the fact that they're willing to hire older flight attendants as well as younger flight attendants. So my class, we only had about 30 people in my class, and 15 were in their 20s, and 15 were in their 40s.
Oh wow!
It was like completely split right down the middle. So. It was, or I shouldn't say just 40s. I think somewhere in their 50s as well. So, but over 40. But yeah, there was a big group in their 20s. And really, and it's been about half and half of who of us have stayed over the years, because a lot of people, they come into the flight attendant job thinking it's going to be great, but they don't know the reality of what the schedule entails and how hard the job can be at times. And they quit and go back to doing whatever, and then some stay. So.
I see. ということで、実際採用されてですね、訓練の同じクラスには30人ほどいたそうなんですけれど、フロンティア航空は結構、様々な年齢、そして様々な、 バックグラウンドを持った前の前職が様々な業種の方も採用していたということで、ただちょっと極端だったのが、アラさんのクラスは、30人中半分が20代の方で、もう半分が40代以上と、かなり二極化してたそうなんですけれど、ただその中でもですね、今でも残って飛んでいるのは、およそその中でまたさらに半分、それぞれかな、半分ほどだそうで、実際客室乗務員をね、目指すっていう方多いと思うんですけれど、いざ入社してみて、じゃあその時のこのスケジューリングだとか、実際の業務の大変さとか、そのあたりをちょっと経験して、ただ、といっても9年間なんでね、結構今続けてる方すごい長いとは思うんですけれど、実際その時同じクラスだった方の、半分ほどが残っているという状況だそうです。Right. And, そしてですね、どの会社もですね、こういう、いろんな人を取るっていう、方針なのかわかんないんですけど、フロントや航空はそういう風になっているとおっしゃってました。Okay. So you started a job as flight attendant and for this 9 years. What are there like kind of interesting experiences you've had throughout your career as a flight attendant?
You mean like crazy people kicking people off airplanes?
I don't want to talk about those kind of stuff. But I mean, like what
I've been Vegas-based a while, so yeah, I have some stories.
Maybe like kind of what do you think that was good for you, or maybe what this kind of experience kind of made it?
Well, so because I grew up in an airline family. Yes. As soon as I got into the interview, even it just felt like home. Like aviation is kind of a family.
Yeah.
And I felt that I just really love the people in the industry. And that just makes work not feel like work so much, when you're working with people you like, and you're always getting to know new people, and you get to do you work as a team, but you're also working as an individual. It's just a unique industry, and I love that every day is different, and every day you're going to experience new people, new places, new coworkers. Even if you've worked with them before, they might be different than they were last time you saw them a year ago or whatever. So everything's constantly changing. So it just keeps things interesting. It's not the same as working in a cubicle, copy editing science manuscripts.
That's pretty, difference with your
It's pretty,
job.
I would never go back to a cubicle after working in the airlines. So.
ということで、航空業界に実際入ってみてですね、ご家族がもともと航空一家だったということも含めてですけれど、すごくもうホームのように感じたと。それで、仕事が大変だとか、そういう感覚よりは、もう本当に、好きなことを仕事にできていること、そして、この航空業界っていうのは、やっぱり、一人で頑張るときもあればチームで頑張るときもあるし、そしていろんな人との関わりがすごくチームワークが大事な職場でもあるんですね。新しい人がどんどん入ってきたりとか、そして一度一緒に、仕事をした人でもまた次会うときに1年後またすっかり変わってその人が変わっていたりだとか、本当にいろんなそういうところを感じられるので、それはすごく自分にあったなというふうにおっしゃってて、で前の出版業界、そしてこのね、少しアカデミックのサイエンスの分野にも入ってたんですけど、そこには、一切戻りたくないというふうにおっしゃってました。はい。You've been based on Vegas all the time? Or?
No. I was based in Denver 3 different times.
Okay.
I was based in Chicago for a full year.
Oh, wow.
I was based in Orlando for a full year. And then as soon as Las Vegas opened, I moved my base to Vegas, but I did go back to Denver for a short time.
Okay.
It wasn't as short as I was thinking it would be because COVID happened.
Oh, I see.
And so I kind of got stuck staying in Denver for a while. And I was driving over 80 miles one way to the airport. So it's not that I don't like the Denver base. It's just, it was a long commute from Colorado Springs where I was living. So, and I wasn't expecting to stay that long, but like I said, COVID was unique. So
is it a common thing to kind of move around the bases so that often, or sometimes?
depending on who he's dating, he'll change his base.
Oh, wow.
And then by the time the base transfer takes effect, he's already broken up with that person. So, hey, Derek, so,
Oh my gosh.
but anyway, some people change all the time, and then other people pick one base and they stay there their whole lives. So
Okay, I see.
it just depends. I mean, if you had a base in your hometown, you would be lucky to have that. And so, of course, you don't want to change.
Right.
So, but.
Okay. でこの9年間ですね、全米各地を転々本拠地ベースを転々としてたそうで、シカゴだったりオーランドだったりでデンバーには長くいたらしいんですけど、その中でも2度3度同じところに行ったりとか、片道80マイル運転して出勤したりとか、いろいろ大変なことがあって、でラスベガスのベースがオープンしたと同時に、ここにもうすぐさま戻ってきたと、そんな風な感じでおっしゃってました。同僚の一人にですね、こうベースが移るたびに新しい彼氏さんを作る人もいたらしくて、それもすごい話だなと思ったんですけれどありがとうございます。ちょっと客室乗務員の話はですね、このあたりにして、皆さんご質問等あったらぜひメールやツイキャスの方でコメントいただきたいんですけど、ここからですね、番組後半に行くにあたってどうしてパイロットを目指したのか、そっちの方に焦点を当てて少しお話を伺っていきたいと思います。Alright, so you've been flying for 9 years, and then is there like a specific event or a time that you thought that you want to be a pilot?
I think I came to that realization just because I'm trying to think if it was. Honestly, I think it was after I changed the position I was working.
Okay.
So my favorite position to work is actually B position, which is in the back of the airplane. So the B position reads the safety demo. Basically, I don't like the people looking at me.
I see.
And so
Really?
I would rather be reading the demo and, saying the stuff in the back of the plane.
Yeah.
And it just takes a lot of energy to greet everyone and say goodbye to everyone. And so I kind of found where I felt comfortable in the back. But when the Vegas base opened, there were a couple of experiences I had that were not good because people who were brand new, just brand new flight attendants, didn't even have to be on reserve at all, were getting what you call a line right away. And this happens when new bases open and new classes come in. Sometimes you don't have to be on reserve. In my opinion, I think it would be nice if everybody had to do reserve for at least 3 months. Preferably in Denver for Frontier, because that's the heart of our corporate culture. And I feel like you kind of learn what you're actually supposed to do on the job from the more senior flight attendants. And these new people didn't have that experience. So I was commuting from San Diego, so it was easier to start my trip late in the day. So as a result, I got junior trips, and the other people in the trips were brand new, and they made some pretty bad mistakes.
Really?
That were really unfortunate, and I just was like, that's it. I'm not working B anymore. I'm going to be in charge. I'm going to work A. So when I started working A, it was better because at least then the senior person was running the show.
Yeah.
And then as part of the A position, you have to go up into the flight deck to give the pilots a bathroom break, basically, when they want to leave the flight deck.
Yeah.
So getting to talk to them, see what they were doing, see the flight deck, started to fascinate me. And eventually I was like, I'd rather be doing that than this, you know. So, and I started talking to some of them, and they were very encouraging because there are a few pilots at Frontier who used to be flight attendants. And so that began my journey.
Nice. とても素敵なお話伺ったんですけれど、じゃあ客室乗務員をやってる中でどうしてちょっとパイロットを目指すことになったのか、その気持ちの変化があった瞬間は どうだったんですかというふうに伺ったんですけれど、フロンティア航空では A ポジション、B ポジションって、呼ぶらしいんですけれど、フロンティア航空、使用している機材がですね、エアバスの320とか321とか、通路が1本で、ドアが前と後ろの方にあって、非常口を途中にあったりするんですけれど、3列ごとである飛行機なんですけれど、それの前方と後方に客室乗務員が、のポジションがあって、で、最初はあんまり人前で立って喋ったりするのがそんなに、どちらかというとね、その後ろの方で、安全、ビデオというか、実演なんですけどね、フロンティア航空は。もう読み上げる、そっちの方、裏方の方が好きだったとおっしゃってたんですけれど、なのでずっと B ポジションに、最初の方はいたということで、ただ、ラスベガスのこのベースがオープンして、ラスベガスに移転してきた時にですね、新しいベースがオープンすると、結構経験が少なめの客室乗務員の方と同乗する機会が多くなったらしいんですね。でその中で、ずっと B ポジションにいたところ、やっぱ新人の方たちが結構、致命的な、おそらくサービス上のあるいは保安上の何か間違いをしてしまったことが、あったらしいんですけれど、そうなるとやっぱり自分その時にはもうすでに、アラさん、ね、経験がもうついてきたので、じゃあ前方の A ポジションの方で、乗務をしようということで A ポジションに移ったところも、やはりうまく、その時に前に比べてはうまくいくようになったということなんですね。ただ A ポジションになると、コックピットのパイロットたちとの関わりっていうのが増えてくるんですね。もちろん前方にいるので、パイロットの方々とのコミュニケーションだったりとか、お手洗い休憩、を、パイロットの方に、客室のトイレを使っていただくときに前方のポジションの客室乗務員の方がコックピットの中で入るとか、そういうふうな取り扱いもあったりするんですけれど、その中でですね、やっぱり、後ろのね、後方の客室よりもこっちの、コックピットっていう職場の方が自分に回ってるというか、こっちに行きたいなっていう気持ちが、そうやって前方のポジションを担当することが多くなるとともに、感じたそうです。はい。ということで、前半ですね、客室乗務員時代、そしてどうしてパイロットになったかとか、そのあたりの話を伺ったんですけれど、後半にですね、じゃあ実際パイロットを目指し始めて、パイロットの訓練だったりとか、そして今どういうふうに両立しているかっていうのを、後半30分伺っていこうと思います。それではこちらで一旦コマーシャルに入ります。Yeah, we're on a break. So on the latter half, I'll ask about your pilot training, and then how your training went on, what you experienced, and maybe what kind of differences you kind of felt in the difference in the cabin versus the cockpit, and then what you're doing right now.
Okay.
And how you're doing right now. Maybe you talk about seniority a little bit on the first part of the show, but this kind of stuff.
Okay.
So we have a 2-minute break right now. You can take a drink if you want.
Oh, thank you.
My mouth is so dry right now.
Oh, you've been talking nonstop.
I know.
So I'm impressed.
Yeah. It's always like this when I interview people here. I need to translate and then ask questions, do the two things at the same time.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And then it's on live, so I can't just say wrong stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's funny. I never really thought about when did I make that decision? And when I think about that bad experience,
Yes.
I mean, the one in particular, I told the girl to put me on her no-fly list because it was such a bad experience. I've only ever done that once.
Seriously.
And when I think about it, I'm like,
30 seconds ago.
yeah, I should be grateful because that was the catalyst for the changing career. It's just funny.
That's it. Yeah.
Making lemonade out of lemons.
10 seconds ago. FM 宜野湾より生放送、玉名直也のパイロットになろう番組パーソナリティの金城健太郎です。本日のゲスト、アメリカで客室乗務員とパイロットの二刀流で、活躍されていますアラさんにお越しいただいております。続いてはこちら、ワナミンの質問コーナー。 このコーナーは FM ぎのわんの、空港大好きまなみんことまなみさんが毎週ゲストの方に直球の質問をぶつけ本音を聞き出すぶっちゃけトークのコーナーです。それでは FM ぎのわんからお呼びしましょう。まなみん。
はい、ありがとうござざいます。
こんにちは。
素敵な紹介を
よろしくお願いします。ちょっと言い方変えてみました。
はい、そうですね。ありがとうございます。
はい。
ちょっと客室乗務員のことでちょっと聞きたいなと思ったんですけど、客室乗務員でやっぱりその飛んだ先で泊まったりとかすることがもしあるのであれば、その時になんかどういう過ごし方をしていたのかなっていうのがちょっと気になりました。
わかりました。はい、伺います。
お願いします。
So she's actually the mixer for the FM Ginoan, Manami-san. She has just some questions as when you're a flight attendant. Did you have like overnight stays and stuff? How did you what did you do when you went to some other places, or even now as a pilot? What did you do?
Well, I mean,
what do you like to do?
I like to eat.
You like to eat?
I like to eat food from different parts of the country. I know that sounds silly, but that's one of the most enjoyable things. I'll go to the local places.
Yeah.
I will not, if I can help it, I will not go to like a Chili's or an Applebee's or something that's the same everywhere. It's like, I want to go to, whatever, Mike's pork tenderloin sandwich place or whatever, and I don't know. There's like a place called Yesterday's in St. Louis. It's just a dive bar.
Really?
They have really good French fries and hamburgers, and I know I'm always shocked, like the food in Cleveland, really good.
Really?
Really good, yeah. It's probably not really good for you, but it's very tasty and delicious. And so I've been to some really fun places there. Surprisingly, it's funny to me that some of my best layovers have been in Cleveland.
I see.
Of all places, and it's more just the hanging out with your friends, your crew. You kind of get to know the people on your crew more. And those are great experiences. I've also, I love when I can get a layover where I have family. So I have a lot of family in the Washington, D.C. area. So whenever I have a layover there, it's hard to pick which cousin I'm going to be able to see because I have several that are in that area. And so that's really fun. And then I have a friend in Portland who came to visit me in Portland one time.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, just sometimes I'll invite my sister. She lives in Northern California, and she'll come stay at the hotel with me, and we'll go do stuff. And
Nice.
like if it's in San Francisco or somewhere like that. So, but I usually look on Yelp. I find whatever has like the best ratings, and I look at the distance so I can walk there or take the hotel van. I mean, I also have tropical layovers. So next month, I think not next. It's in December. We're bidding for November right now at the airline. So there's a trip that starts on December 1st, which is part of that bid period. So I'm hoping I'll get that, and we'll have, I think, 20 hours in Cancun. So so those kind of layovers, we're going to go to the beach and we're going to go to the pool and just have fun and, just kind of relax in the sun, and the hotel is nice. And so all sorts of stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
ということで、かなり長めの回答をいただいたんですけれど、一番真っ先にお答えいただいたのは、食べることが、そして全米各地のですね、美味しいもの、本当に全国チェーンであるようなお店じゃなくて、イエルプっていうアプリがあるんですけれど、それで歩いて行けるような、あるいはホテルのバスに乗って行けるようなところで、その地元の美味しいお店っていうのを毎回必ず探していくそうなんですね。で、もう一つおっしゃってたのが、結構そのいとこたちが全米各地に散らばっているそうで、でその中でその先々行ったところでその家族いとこだったりとか、あるいは友達とかに、タイミングがあったら泊まってるホテルとかに妹さん呼んだりして一緒に過ごしたりっていうのがあったそうで、12月にですね行きたい場所で今どこに行きたいかっていうのを選んでる段階なんですけれど、カンクンっていうメキシコだったかなのところが、ちょっとリゾート地があるんですけれど、そこでゆったりビーチで過ごして太陽の下浴びな冬なんですけど、ちょっと暖かいところに行ってキ 気持ちよく過ごしたいなとおっしゃってましたね。
いいですね。楽しんでますね。
You're really enjoying it, right?
Oh yeah. No, I like layovers, and I mean, yeah, it's. I'm like, how much should I say? No, but yeah, it's fun. You can make new friends around the country and that sort of thing. So.
とても気さきさきとエンジョイしているというふうにおっしゃってます。
はい、ありがとうございます。
はい、ありがとうございます。以上、まなみんの質問コーナーでした。ありがとうございました。ちょっとね、今言い忘れたんですけど、アメリカの中でもね、食べ物が美味しいところがクリーブランドとかセントルイスでも好きな、お店があったというふうにおっしゃってたんですけど、私もね、ぜひ行ってみたい、いつか行きたいなと、仕事で行けたらなと思います。さて、ここからですね、実際、パイロットを目指すっていう段階になってどういうふうに訓練もちろん最初は訓練から始めるんですけれど、そこをどういうふうに客室乗務員の仕事をしながら訓練していったかというふうにといったことを伺っていこうと思います。So, as you decided to become a pilot, you started flight training. Did you do flight training here in Vegas, or?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
I did. The beginning of my flight training was in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And I was at a school, and this is something that might be of interest to people who are wanting to become pilots. So I was at a school that wanted to become what's called a 141 school. And they were part 61 still, but they were striving to become part 141. So they had this structure in place that really it was a good program, but it wasn't a good fit for somebody who is working full-time still, because I had to fund my own flight training, so I still needed to work. And so it was hard. I wound up changing schools, and I finished my private pilot. I did the bulk of it at this first school, and then I changed to a flying club down the street, still in Colorado Springs. Finished my private, started my instrument, and then my instructor, who I loved, got recruited to teach Air Force pilots because there's a training school down in Pueblo, Colorado. And that's a great job. He was a fabulous instructor, but after he left, it just wasn't the same. And so I decided that I was going to go home to San Diego and do the rest of my training there, because I had started, I knew once I got my private, I wanted to rent airplanes and go build time, just to have fun. So I joined a flying club in San Diego. And before I had my private, I had been flying with a couple of Delta pilots as instructors. And so they were fabulous, like teaching me how to be comfortable and confident on the radio, that sort of thing. Just super good guys. It was a great experience. And so I was like, well, if this is the quality of the instructors at this club, I want to do the rest of my training here.
I see.
So I found an instructor, because you need to find someone who's going to have time to do it. And the young gentleman who I got as my instructor was actually from a Part 141. He was from ATP. But he was still on the wait list to teach at the Carlsbad location at Palomar. And so he was, doing this on the side with the flying club, and then eventually he got on with ATP, and he was doing both at the same time. But great instructor, great experience. So finished my instrument there, got my single engine commercial there. And then I started my multi-engine commercial, but then the airplane went out for annual. This was last November 1st. It's not back yet.
Seriously?
It's not back yet.
Oh my gosh.
Because it was an old Travel Air, and it's hard to find parts and expensive. And a poor little airplane is still parked there. And so ultimately I had to go find somewhere else to finish my multi.
I see.
And I went to a program in the Phoenix area called Fly Goodyear that was fabulous. They were really, really good. So I highly recommend them, especially for the multi. They have like a package deal, and multi-engine is hard to finish because the airplanes are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
They're not used as much. So
Right.
it's difficult to find someone who has a functioning airplane. And, so I've done multi-engine time building in Florida and Texas, Arizona, California. So a bunch of different places. But yeah.
ということで、実際パイロットの訓練を始めた時のお話を伺いました。最初ですね、どこのフライトスクールで、始めたとかそのあたりの話を聞いたんですけれど、結構様々な事情で転々とされたそうです。最初は客室乗務員時代にいらしたコロラドの方でですね、訓練を始めたんですけれど、ちょっと、微妙なところだったりとかして、移っていく、最初はそういう、そうですね、パート61、パート141っていう、フライトスクール、細かい話はまたね、別の回とかを聞いていただきたいんですけれど、結構がっちりスケジュールを組んでやるようなところだと、やっぱり客室乗務員と並行しながらやるのは大変だったそうで、もう少し楽しみながら、訓練をしようということで、近くのね、フライトクラブの方に行ったそうなんです。で、そこで本当にもうすごい、気に入ったということで、そこからいろいろ、またさらにいろんなところを転々とする中で、サンディエゴ、その時住んでいたところの方にも、移りまして、で、サンディエゴのところで最終的に、ケーキ、自家用ケーキ、そして授業用、いろいろ資格を取っていったそうなんですけれど、その中でですね、フライト訓練を進める中で、デルタ航空のパイロットお二人ぐらいと、飛ぶ機会があったそうで、彼らもまた、教官として、訓練生の教官として、その時は飛んでいたんですけれど、本当にそのデルタ航空の教官の方々はすごくもう良かったと。特に無線でね、こういうふうに言えばいいんだよとか、こういうところ力抜けばいいんだよ。そのあたりのことを結構話してくださったそうで、本当にアメリカ人でも苦労する無線ところなんですけど、無線は。ただその中で素晴らしい、教育を受けられたということです。で、その後もですね、その方で、授業まで終わらせた後に、総発マルチエンジンの、訓練を始めるときにですね、残念ながらその機体がメンテナンスに入りまして、なかなかちょっと珍しい機体だったものですから、その訓練もずっと終わらせずにいて、で、最終的にはフェニックスの方ですね、一つ素晴らしい、総発の訓練がパッケージになったところがあったということで、そこはすごくお勧めするということでした。はい。Alright. Was it kind of difficult to do both your flight attendant job and then flight training at the same time? You said you just, 141-ish school was a little difficult, but
it was hard. It was easier once I switched to like a purely Part 161 or Part 61 basis because the flying club, you would just go online and schedule yourself. Whereas the school that was trying to be at 141, they had this one person trying to schedule everybody, and I think it was too much for her to get everybody's schedules worked out, and it was difficult. So as soon as I was able to have control of my own schedule, it was so much easier because I could book with my instructor, book with the airplane I liked. It was all online. Everything, like, okay, well, I have this day off, this day off, this day off. So I'd book lessons for those days. And so it was much easier to get my flying done. And then I was actually able to work quite a bit too to help fund my schooling.
I see.
So
how many days of the week have you been training in those days?
I liked back then to fly about 3 times a week.
Okay.
That was my, best. But sometimes there would only be 2 days, depending on weather or availability of the airplane, scheduling constraints. Just depended. But I would at least fly once a week, but more often 3 times a week. So.
訓練時代はですね、週3回ぐらい飛んでたということですね。先ほども言ったように、なかなかスケジューリングが自由が効かない、スクールだと、やはり自分の仕事との両立が大変だったんですけれど、客室乗務員の方でもですね、セニョリティが上がっていって、好きな時間がだんだん選ぶ、自分のある程度予定をコントロールできるようになると、結構比較的スムーズに訓練も進めるようになったということです。So you started flight training at when? What time? What year?
So it was 2019 in October.
October 2019. And then you got your commercial as...
Let's see. So I finished. It took me over a year to get my private because that was when COVID hit.
Okay.
They shut down the school for 3 months. And I should have gone to another place right away. But I was so sold on their program that I didn't look at other options. And I wish I had in retrospect, because some of the other students, they went to Arizona where nothing was closing down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and in California, the club that I fly with, it's one of those places, like the guy who's in charge, like always has Fox News on his radio, and he didn't shut down either, So I should have just gone there in the first place and finished up there. But I was so sold that they were going to get this done, and I just really liked their business model, and it ultimately did not work for me. So it took me, I'm trying to think, I got my private in, I want to say November. It was November, no, maybe December. So it was like 14 months to get my private, which is a long time.
Yes.
And then I got my instrument rating in November of the following year. And then I got my single engine commercial in August the following year. And then I got my multi-engine commercial in January of the following year. So
it's been like...
Well, it's been 4 years since I started. And now, I mean, it was like 3.5, basically, from start to finish. And then it took me a while to find this job at AirSmart.
Oh, really?
So, it's...
I'll ask you on the next pass.
Okay.
ということで、フライトトレーニング自体はですね、2019年の10月にプライベートの訓練を始めたそうです。で、そこからちょっとコロナがあったりしてね、なかなか思うように進まなかったということなんですけれど、その時元いたフライトスクールよりも違うところはね、フライトスクールの業務を閉じなかったところにさっさと行けばよかったとおっしゃってるんですけれど、訓練を始めてですね、そこから計器、授業用、そしてマルチエンジンの資格も、合計そうですね、なので3年半とかかけて取得されたということです。And then so when did you start looking for a job like AirSmart?
January of this year, I started looking for a job. And I didn't find the job with AirSmart until June. So I think I interviewed the last week of June, and I can't remember. They told me the next week. It was like less than a week that they told me, but I can't remember exactly if it was July yet. It might have been like around July 1st or something. And then we started training July 24th.
I see.
So.
エアスマートにはですね、実際訓練を進めていく中で仕事を探し始めたのが、今年の1月と、で、6月頃にですね、エアスマートのこの仕事を見つけて、そこから今、もう1週間以内ですぐ返事が来たようで、そこからもうトレーニングを始めたということで、So you've been training from July and then you've checked out as a first officer, right?
Yeah, and no, so I haven't had my check ride yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay.
So I'm trying to schedule it right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just hard to, coordinate days and everything.
Right.
So, but hopefully soon. Hopefully I'll finish. I think the rest of my class has had theirs, so that's great. I'm excited. I don't know if the whole class before me finished theirs yet or not.
For some people, not really sure, but
I'm not sure. I'm like, I'm just going to worry about my schedule. So.
ということで、そうですね。今実際SIC、副操縦士として SIC としてチェックアウトっていうのがまたあるんですけど、それは待ってるということで、you still fly like 3 times a week, 3 days a week like that, or more?
No, I mean it's AirSmart. I only have the 10 days off a month, so whatever they give me, I fly.
And then you're still at as a flight attendant?
As a flight attendant, I only work 6 or 7 days a month.
Okay.
So that's it. I just work the minimum number of hours. So I can get those in 6, but sometimes I'll decide to do a trip just because now I live up here
Yeah.
because of the 1 hour call out,
Uh-huh.
and it's a long drive down to the main Vegas airport.
I see.
So
Right.
like next week I have a 3-day trip. So I get to go to Detroit. Yay!
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And Phoenix.
ということで、今はですね、こう、週に何日というよりも、10日、月に、10日間休みがあるので、それ以外は休む後、副操縦として飛んで、それで、週に6日7日を、客室乗務員として飛んでるということだそうです。本当に両立もね、大変だと思うんですけれど、ちょっとすいません。私今日すごい話をゆっくり進めてしまったもんで、そろそろお別れの時間が来てしまったのですね。すいません。本日のゲストはですね、アラさんでございました。1時間の生放送、最後の最後までお付き合いくださいましてありがとうございました。この番組のアーカイブはですね、玉の花やパイロットになろう、FM ぎのわんの YouTube ツイキャスにてご覧いただきますので、タイトルで検索をしてください。この番組はエアスマートエビエーションアカデミー、見える本質見え本チャンネル以上3社の提供で、アメリカ・ネバダ州ラスベガスのエアスマート1階ロビーよりお送りしました。それでは皆さんまた来週11時にお目にかかりましょう。さようなら。